Emily Maitlis joins me in the studio. We'll speak in a minute about an extraordinary moment on Air Force One where Donald Trump was brutal towards a journalist, a female journalist, in the language that he used. We'll save that one up for you for the end. But Emily, we've been talking this hour about Shabana Mahmood's announcement in the Commons yesterday. I think both the Commons, while she was announcing it, and the questions that were put to her and the challenges that were put to her, and what we've seen flow from it since, gives us an indication of just how difficult this question is for our mainstream politicians. They do not like dealing with it, do they?
Yeah, I mean, you will have played the clip or played some of what she said in the Commons last night, and it was a real kind of drop your spoon moment, wasn't it? It was really shocking. And to put it in context, she was responding to a Lib Dem challenge from Max Wilkinson, who'd basically said this is sort of state-sponsored robbery, the idea that you would stop asylum seekers or immigrants and take their jewellery or take their assets off them. And so she spoke, I think, from the heart. She spoke from first-hand experience, and no one can take away from her the fact that this is where she has been as a young Muslim woman, you know, or
and
as
he hasn't. Essentially, she was saying,
and she was talking of her experience. I think the problem with it, though, is that it sounded or could sound as if she was saying the reason that we're hearing language like this is because of where we've got to on immigration. And there will be some people who think that she is therefore legitimising the language that is being used because of the immigration figures. I think you do have to separate the two. I think you've got to come to it by saying, if you're the Home Secretary and you think immigration is too high or irregular migration is too high and you have a policy, you want to do something about it, do something about it. But don't lean in to racist language as a way of justifying what you're doing. Don't let the people who are using language like that feel like they've won.
Because to sell your policy.
To sell your policy. Because the language is not going to go away if you solve the policy, I don't think.
What struck me listening to it, both live and then subsequently playing it out, the silence in the room when she did it. There was utter silence in the Commons,
and I think she got a ticking off from the speaker.
A gentle one.
Yes, and I think, I mean, part of it, you know, again, to put it in context, I think there had been a delay. She'd been kept waiting 2 hours. The speaker himself hadn't been very happy that it had been so widely trailed as a policy already in the morning. So there might have been a little bit of ill feeling and maybe sort of passions were rising anyway. But I think that was a genuinely shocking moment because you can't criticise... you have parliamentary privilege to say what you need to say, but also you can't criticise a person who is speaking from their own lived experience when she tells you that that is what's happening. But I think part of that silence is kind of grappling with, as I say, the implications of, well, sorry, are we going to lean into the racists now? Are we going to say, oh, I'm so sorry.
They're shaping our policies.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. You know, you had to use that language about me. I'll see what I can do. It's not a great place to be, is it?
And both in the Commons and outside as well, in interviews afterwards. I mean, on one interview with ITV, she told Nigel Farage, or she said Nigel Farage can, quotes, sod off. She's really being feisty, essentially, in the language that she's using, if that's the right word. The general consensus was that she was very impressive in the Commons yesterday and sort of took on all comers, you know, policy aside, that she was taking on all comers. Is that the energy that's been lacking from you-know-who, Starmer?
I mean, this is what... I think this is over and above, as you say, the policy. What we are seeing is somebody who is direct, who connects, who's got a vision. Whatever you think of that vision, she's got the sort of balls, if you like, to go out and sell it, right? And there has been so much talk recently of the kind of waffliness of political language, how, you know...
And the caution of the language as well.
I mean, when Rachel Reeves did that weird speech at 8:10 in the morning, and she left us none the wiser. And I think that when people say, I don't like Farage, but I like how he speaks, or I don't necessarily like Trump, but I mean, we'll come on to that, but I like the fact that you can't mistake what he's saying. What they're kind of saying is, just please talk to us as human beings. I don't need a press release. I don't need this to have gone through.
And she ticks that box.
She does tick that box, And, you know, the person who used fresh energy about Shabana Mahmood was Kemi Badenoch. And I think you will find there is a dirty secret, which, you know, I was made party to last week when I was talking to somebody very senior in the Conservative Party and in the Labour Party who said, we the Conservatives want Labour to succeed on immigration. They want Labour to succeed. They want this government to succeed because they imagine a world in which they then will become the next government after Labour, and reform will be locked out of, what has essentially been a two-party system. They don't want to open the door to reform. So in a way, it works for both their parties to actually see this working together.
Which has certainly been reflected in Kemi Badenoch's responses, both in the Commons and since. You mentioned Donald Trump in his language. Yesterday, he told a female reporter to be, quotes, quiet piggy, we'll hear it in a sec, as he fielded questions about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. This was on board Air Force One. Take a listen.
Quiet piggy. On Venezuela, sir, you've had a lot of meetings on Venezuela. I know you've...
I mean, where do you go? That was the reporter from Bloomberg, CBS News' Jennifer Jacobs. Quiet piggy. It's so demeaning a word, isn't it?
It's vile, isn't it? It's properly vile.
Yeah.
And, if you were going to be childish about this, you could say, well, it's a portly little fat pot that is aiming his criticism at another kettle, right? But I think it's more than that. I think it's that he doesn't have the power of argument, and so he just uses... Abuse. And we've seen it time and again.
It's a way of that happening here to you or me if we ask a question of a politician. Can you?
Do you know what? I mean, thank God they tend to be I don't know whether it's more respectful or whether it's more articulate, but the truth is that Trump has to turn to nicknames or he has to turn to abuse. And actually what it is fundamentally is it's silencing. And he doesn't do it as much to the men. He tries to silence women.
You're a terrible reporter yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what it does is it basically makes you catch your breath and you pause and you don't then quite have the guts to go for it or to ask your question, and everyone's looking at you, and her name is now all over the media, it's all over social media, that clip is everywhere, and it's essentially, I mean, it's kind of medieval. It's a way of just sort of, strapping your tongue down and saying, I don't want you speaking.
And also to go full Meryl Streep, it kind of gives certain types of people permission to say it to somebody else as well, doesn't it? Yeah.